KITV4 News and CivilBeat.com present our Commitment 2014 debate for the U.S. Senate Democratic primary.
All right, welcome back to the Democratic Senate debate. Time now for questions from those of you watching at home, online, and on your smartphones. We're going to go to Laura Yamada at the KITV4 Web Center. Laura.
Well, I tell you, Paula, our live wire and also our Facebook has just been lighting up, and we wish we could ask more questions, but unfortunately we're going to have to narrow it down to just 4 for the time being. And we are going to start off with our first question for Senator Schatz. Senator Schatz, this question is from Mary Brogan. She asks, what are the most important policies the U.S. needs to enact in order to minimize the impact of climate change on Hawaii?
Well, thank you, Mary, for that question. And this is something that's deeply important to all of us in the state of Hawaii. First, we pay 3 to 4 times the national average for electricity. So we've got to advance the ball when it comes to clean energy. And we're doing well in the state of Hawaii. But we can also be an example for the rest of the country. And sometimes I feel like we don't give ourselves enough credit. You know, when I've talked to my colleagues on the Water and Power Committee, they're really impressed with what we've been able to do. They understand that we've been able to more than double clean energy generation over the last several years as a group effort, and they want to know how we've done it. And so we have an opportunity here to bring in federal funding from the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense, but also to make sure that what's happening in terms of the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative is an example that other states can follow. I've been working with Barbara Boxer and Ron Wyden and many others who are very interested in how they can do their own clean energy initiatives.
Representative? You know, it's wonderful to have the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative be in the forefront, because that is something that we did in the legislature with Governor Lingle. The other thing that you must also look at is what the Department of Defense has done in terms of taking the lead in this area. Know that Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Base will be completely 100% off-grid by the year 2015. The President has set a policy for the Department of the Navy and Marine Corps that by the year 2020, they'll be 50% self-sustained. Great objectives, and we're meeting them. And that is what we have to continue to do. Continue with our efforts to renewable energy and to set the pace for the rest of the nation.
All right, this second question, this is going to go first to Representative Hanabusa. Representative, this is from Cody Osborne. Cody asks, we all talk about supporting our vets, but we don't hear as much about our homeless veterans. So what specific legislation have you brought forward or plan to bring forward to reduce homelessness in our vets? Representative Hanabusa.
You know, this is the one area that I believe the President has it right, and he has it in a goal that by the year 2016 there will be no homeless vets on the streets ever. And we see this in Hawaii, where we have the shelter and training, in other words, for them to reacclimate into society. The types of legislations that we have passed and we have looked to passing has been on the area of being able to have vets use the training that they have in the military and have that transfer into the private sector. Sort of a reciprocity kind of situation, so that they don't have to worry about getting retrained and relicensed. These are all very important aspects to help our veterans become productive members without having to wait. But again, as to the homeless vet issue, let's give the President's program a chance and see in the year 2016 that it's actually done. We already have a wonderful shelter in Kalailoa, and we need to build shelters like that throughout the state. All right, thank you. Rebuttal, Senator.
I think we need to focus on mental health. I think there is still a stigma around getting mental health services, not just for our veterans, but for other community members, but especially for our veterans. As people are getting discharged, we need to remind them that they can avail themselves of mental health services, and even while they're in the service, to make sure that they know that mental health is health. And for many, many years, there has been a stigma attached to people availing themselves of mental health services. This is something I feel very passionately about from my not-for-profit background. Cody, your question is exactly right. We've got to focus on this issue, and we've got to pay more attention to mental health.
All right, so this next question is for Senator Schatz. Bear with us, it's a little bit longer. This is from Irene Ramirez, and she writes, My husband and I both came out of college with student loans bigger than a mortgage combined. We also have 2 children, and we had to constantly defer our payments. Aside from lowering student loan interest rates, what can you do about the ridiculously high monthly repayments for families? Senator Schatz.
Well, this really is the middle class issue of our time. There are so many families that are making that tough choice. Look, higher education should be the ladder up economically, whether you want to get a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree or a culinary degree or whatever it may be. But higher education is supposed to be part of the American dream, and people are being priced out of it. We've got to lower the student loan interest rate. We were able to do that through legislation last year. But for people who took on loans before we passed the law, they're still paying 8, 9, 10%. That's why I'm working with Elizabeth Warren on the Student Loan Forgiveness Act. And finally, we've got to make sure that when we do the higher education reauthorization bill and we spend more than $130 billion on Pell Grants and subsidized student loans, that we actually attach some strings, that we make sure that every college administrator wakes up every morning thinking about how am I going to make college more affordable for young people.
All right, thank you, Senator. Representative?
You know, if you watch Brian's commercial and he has the signing, that's the bill called H.R. 1911, and it's a compromise bill. And what I have to tell you is that I voted for it, many of us supported it, but all we did was to kick the can down the road. We were able to lower the interest rates for that year. It's going to go up on July 1. It already went up to another 1%. And in a couple of years, it's going to hit 6.8%, which is what we were trying to avoid. So the one thing we have to do is we have to be honest with you, and we have to actually pass legislation that means something and addresses the problems that you raised, not just kicking the can down the road. I voted for it because that was the temporary fix, but we need a permanent fix to this issue.
All right, our last question is going to go to Representative Hanabusa. This is coming from Calvin Miller. Calvin asks, what is the single biggest difference between yourself and your opponent, and why? Why is that important to the residents of Hawaii? Representative Hanabusa.
Thank you, Calvin. Calvin, the first thing you have to realize is that Brian and I entered politics exactly the same time. So if you want to know what the difference is, look at our records and look at our experience. I went on to be the first woman president of the Hawaii State Senate, the first Asian woman in the nation to head either house, and the first woman to head either house in the state of Hawaii. I have been able to take on very difficult tasks, take difficult positions, because that's what it's all about. When you elect us to a legislative body, we have to do that. So I ask you to look at our records and see what we have done. I went on to be into the Congress of the United States, served there for 4 years, have the recognition of my colleagues as well. But know one thing, the great training that I have is I'm a minority within a minority. And being able to survive and being able to deliver for Hawaii when you're a minority within a minority tells you what you can do if you're ever in the majority.
All right, thank you, Representative. Rebuttal, Senator?
Well, I think the basic question is who's been effective in getting things done for the state of Hawaii. Look, I've built the relationships that have put me in a unique position to help Hawaii. I'm the chairman of the Tourism Committee, and we've been able to make some progress there. I'm the chairman of the Water and Power Committee in the Senate, and we've been able to focus on clean energy and helping Hawaii in that way. We've also done, as a group, well in the appropriations process, whether it be in Native Hawaiian health, or education, or clean energy, or the University of Hawaii, or transportation. And it also comes down to your votes and your values. Look, I'm going to fight to protect Social Security, I'm going to fight to keep college affordable, and I'm going to fight for clean energy. And I've been effective in getting things done for Hawaii.
All right, well, that does it for now, but hey, a big thanks to everyone out there who have turned in their responses. We really have gotten a fantastic response online. We are going to hear more in our 10 o'clock newscast. Your comments, our Livewire is still up, so please keep contributing to that. We're getting some great responses. Also, we're going to hear from our political analyst, Neil Milner. He's been sitting right next to me throughout this whole thing, listening to all the questions and answers. More from him on that. I'll send it back to you, Paula.
All right, thanks, Laura. We're going to continue now with more questions from our panel, so let's pick it up with Chad Blair. He has a question for Representative Hanabusa.
Congresswoman, you touched on this just a moment ago. The U.S. House is controlled by Republicans. Some say the Senate will follow this year. If so, how would you as a Democrat in the Senate make sure that Hawaii has a vote in a GOP Congress with a lame duck president.
Thank you, Chad. And you're right, I did touch upon it. What I was saying was that when you are in the minority position, as I am, in the House, and remember now I come from Senate President where I can call the shots, to a position where I'm a minority within a minority. It was the most amazing training that I think I could have had for the benefit of Hawaii. So if the Senate turns, and I hope it doesn't, but if it does turn to Republican control, I believe the skills that I have developed, as well as the understanding of working with people across the aisle, which is something that I've always done, even when I was Senate President. Everyone knows I've always had a great relationship with Sam Sloan and others to get things done. I mean, I know how they're going to vote. I know how people are thinking, because that's part of the skill set that I have developed. To be effective in a Republican-controlled organization, you have to earn their respect as well, and they have to look upon you as someone that they can trust. Trust is critical. Your word is critical.
Rebuttal, Senator.
Well, in the Senate, you need 60 votes, which means that in order to pass any piece of legislation, you need a Republican dance partner. I've been able to work with Johnny Isakson from Georgia in passing an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act. I've been able to work, surprisingly to me, actually, with Jim Inhofe on legislation called the Native Vets Memorial Act, which President Obama signed when he was in Kailua last Christmas. But look, you have to be able to work across the aisle. Colleen's right. Whether the Republicans are in charge or the Democrats are in charge, in the Congress, you need to show an ability to pass legislation, and I've been able to do that because I've been able to build relationships with Republicans, even people with whom I disagree on many, many issues. We've been able to find common ground.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Schatz, you only need to travel a short distance from here to Kaka'aka Waterfront Park to know that homelessness is getting worse in Hawaii. In fact, the New York Times recently ran a front-page story about the city's crackdown of the homeless problem in Waikiki. How can the federal government help Hawaii with this important issue to all of us?
Well, let me focus on one aspect of homelessness, and that is mental illness. People are homeless for various reasons, sometimes because they can't afford a home, sometimes because of substance abuse, and sometimes a combination of different issues. But what I am particularly passionate about, because of my not-for-profit background, is mental illness. We have so many mentally ill adults across the state of Hawaii who are homeless. And let me just give you an example. Maybe 10 years ago, it was considered a bad outcome clinically if we actually placed someone in IHS. In other words, that was what we were trying to avoid, to place someone in IHS. Now that's considered a good outcome. And that is how far we have fallen behind in terms of providing mental health services to adults with severe and persistent mental illness. We've got to reduce the stigma around mental health, and we've got to make sure we provide funding through state, county, and federal and not-for-profit agencies to try to take care of those of us who suffer from mental illness.
Representative, rebuttal.
Thank you. Growing up in Waianae has taught me empathy and compassion. And we all know that in 2006, in that time frame, Waianae probably had the most homeless population ever. Homelessness is not something that you can just simply broad brush. It has many different facets to it. There are those who are homeless because they're houseless. There are those who are homeless because they don't have jobs. There are those who are homeless because they have mental health considerations. And there are those who are homeless because they do not want to be in a structured type of environment. I think what the federal government has to do is address those first who can help themselves. We got to do like the Jobs Act that we have proposed and bring good paying jobs to the states like Hawaii so that we can get the homeless off the streets.
Rebuttal, Senator. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Question.
Question is for Representative Hanabusa. Do you believe GMOs are unhealthy, and what evidence do you have one way or the other?
I do not believe GMOs are unhealthy, and I stand with the farmers on that, and I also believe in the science that we have on GMOs. You know, I eat papaya. I've eaten papaya for who knows how long, and I got to tell you, papaya is GMO'd. Everyone knows that. There's no way of saying that papaya is GMO'd okay in one place and GMO'd not okay in another place. That is what we have to look at. It is the science that goes with it. It is a very highly emotional issue. But I will tell you one thing. When we were on the Big Island and on Kauai, Brian proposed home rule on the issue of GMOs. That will not work. You cannot have potentially 4 different sets of legislation or statutes to govern what can be grown by our farmers. That would, in and of itself, I believe, kill agriculture. Because how can they survive if they have one set of rules in one area and another? And as someone who wants to be the United States Senator or is a United States Senator, look at it in terms of the United States Constitution. Supremacy Clause and Commerce Clause.
Thank you. Rebuttal.
Well, there's nothing more personal for lots of people than what they put in their children's bodies. And I understand the passions across the state of Hawaii, and that's why I think that the states need to be the laboratory of democracy once again. Look, states and counties are wrestling with this, and that's why I support Senator Sanders' bill and Senator Boxer's bill to clarify that the federal government has no jurisdiction at this point in terms of interfering with what individual states and counties want to do.
Thank you.
Senator Shahs, to you. Should the federal government continue to pay for the medical needs of Micronesians, whose islands, as you know, were used for nuclear testing by the United States? And how can the federal government help states like Hawaii handle the influx of Micronesians?
Well, you're asking a really important question, Chad, but let's get it clear. We have a moral obligation for compact migrants, and we also have a legal obligation. We have a moral obligation because of the nuclear testing. We have a legal obligation because the United States Senate entered into a treaty with compact migrants under the Compact of Free Association. But here's the problem. When compact migrants avail themselves of services at the ER or in other clinical settings, and it would otherwise be reimbursable through Medicaid, they are the only category of people for whom the state of Hawaii does not get reimbursed through Medicaid. If you are an American citizen, it's reimbursable about 50% through Medicaid. If you are actually an undocumented worker, it's about 50% reimbursable through Medicaid. But only compact migrants are carved out of it, and the result is that the state of Hawaii foots the whole bill. That's what we've got to fix.
Rebuttal. Representative.
Let us also know that we have 3 different compacts of free association, a couple of which have been renewed to the year about 2024. And it is a moral obligation, and it is a legal obligation because of the fact that we do have the treaties. But the problem is that the federal government will not pay its share. A GAO report said that there's about $184 million a year. The federal government only pays $30 million. I've introduced bills time and time again to have us reimbursed at the rate with which it costs each of the respective states. You know, it's very interesting because I remember when Governor Abercrombie said that one of the votes that he regrets taking is when he ended Medicaid reimbursements for the COFA migrants. So it was an act of Congress that ended it. It's got to be an act of Congress that renews it.